Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Thursday the 24th of October and today we will start with Tesla that announced earnings in the aftermarket yesterday, and it was a little bit better than expected. At least the market liked the results, and the share price closed at 232.40 as indicated by the dashed line here, just below the gap area and resistance at 234.25, but the key one 239.20. If it does close above that level and we get RSI back above 60 threshold, well, then we are back in a bullish trend. However, if it can't penetrate this area and close above it, well, then we could see Tesla sliding back. The RSI is still currently bearish or negative, so that will be interesting here the next couple to see what it will actually do. On the index itself, the S&P 500 closed below 5,800 support and the 38.2 retracement, dipping almost down to the 61.8. Here pre-market, it is at the moment, as we speak, it's bouncing a little bit here. As we can see, we are in a correction phase. There is divergence on the RSI, indicating that we could see a correction a little bit lower, possibly down to the 5,700 level around here. I don't think it will take out 5,674, which is support. If it does close below, well, then we could see a larger correction, but I think we will bounce here in the coming days. But again, we can see a lot of volatility coming in or hitting the market due to earnings releases here in October. The Nasdaq 100 closed just above support at 20,041. Also here, I think we could see a correction that could take it down to 19,622. Pre-market, we are up a little bit, as you can see, up a little bit, 0.3%, but that can change if there's some pre-market earnings I haven't really thought of that could push it lower. We could see a correction, we could see the market going into a correction that could test the lower rising trend line here and the 55 moving average and the 100. They're both rising, and we had the 55 crossing over the 100, so it is still indicating higher levels on the Nasdaq index. So, but we need a little bit of a correction. In Europe, once again, EUROSTOXX 50 yesterday tested the 49.07 support, but closed back above the trend line here. That is kind of more like a guideline at the moment, it seems, and 49.43 above that level. So, and here pre-market, we are up 0.7%, indicating that we are likely to push higher. If you see it bouncing also here is the EU50 CFD / future, 49.05, that bounced from there, and I think we'll continue bouncing further today. DAX just below the 19,400, but also here we are about 0.5% pre-market, indicating that we are likely to bounce. We see here it dipped to the 50% of this uptrend here, and then now we are bouncing a little bit, but we are in a correction phase that could also with the earnings coming in, dip it lower to 19,200 around that level, 61.8, retracing possibly before I think we'll see it picking up again. But we are in a correction phase, and it's always hard to tell how big a correction will be. The AX Amsterdam, little bit of a trouble here. It seems closed yesterday below 892, but the CFD and the index future is bouncing this morning off its 200 moving average. Can it move back above 892 to close above that? Well, maybe then it can get a little bit of a relief rally towards the 908 level, but there's really some strong resistance up here. We can also see the 100 moving average starting to move lower. Key will be RSI bouncing from the 40 threshold. If it doesn't close below, well, then it will support the bounce rebound scenario. So keep an eye on that. The CAC 40 still holding on above 74.64, key support level. Swiss markets also about 12,119, and currently also indicating a little bit higher. Euro dollar, well, it tested yesterday evening the 107.77 lows here back from early August. I think we will see a bounce. We can also see there is now divergence on the RSI. You see the RSI values didn't make a new low. It's actually low over here. So we could see a bounce in the coming days. If it takes out 108.75, well, then there's room up to 109.50 level. The potential target for this double top pattern has been reached. I think we will see a correction. We are ripe for a correction, and the correction could take it to around the 109.35 here in the coming weeks. However, if it does take out the lows from yesterday at 107.60, well, then there is no support until 106.65. So that would be key here next couple of days. There could be a little bit of a fighting going on, but I think we will see a bit of a bounce here. Euro sterling did dip below to the 83 once again and then bounce. So it seems like there's really some strong interest down around 83 here. If it takes it out once again, it didn't actually dip below 83.03 actually. So it didn't take out 83. But if it takes it out, these lows here from the past few days, then I think we'll see the sell-off down to 82.50, 82.30 level. If it takes out and breaks above this falling trend line, we could see a push up to 84 level. On cable below 129.37, it is not or was not the strongest support at all, but we are below the cloud. We are negative sentiment, no divergence, indicating we are likely to dip lower. Still, the 55 moving average will try to drag it higher, but for now we are in a correction for below the 100 moving also. And what I will do, I will just move that one. We have a little bit of support down here where we're at 128, sorry, where we also have the 200 moving average. If we dip down, I think we'll see a nice bounce from that level. It really needs to get back above, as it looks at the moment, above 131 for establishing a bullish trend. The yen pairs are taking a little bit of a breather after a strong bullish move yesterday, where dollar yen touched the 153.10 resistance and the 138.2 projection of this corrective phase here. I think we could see a little bit of a setback, but the RSI is still in positive sentiment, indicating we are likely to push higher. And I think we could see dollar yen pushing towards 154, maybe even 155 here in the coming weeks, where we have some strong resistance areas. If it starts sliding back below the 100 moving average, the 200 here and the 100 here, well, then we could see a push down to 149.40, but the RSI is indicating higher levels. The euro yen also pushed higher, testing the upper part of the cloud, and it was just above the 100 moving average. Now it's back below. Seems to be testing the 164 that is now support. It was a resistance. However, the RSI is in a positive sentiment, so I think it could move higher on euro yen here in the coming days. Maybe it could spell nicely in with a move in euro dollar. Let's see about that. So moving on to Aussie yen. Let's zoom in a little bit there. After breaking this little triangle-like pattern, corrective pattern there, pushed to the 101.70, just below the resistance there. Also, we have a little bit of a divergence. You can see the values here are actually lower than over here, indicating that we are a little bit stretched, but there's still potential high. We are in a positive sentiment, so we could see it push to 102.05, maybe higher. If it slides back below and into this, back below this falling trend line there and down below 100 again, then the support at 99.40 could come under pressure. Sterling yen finally, after this move here, it is on its way towards 199.5. RSI divergence a little bit there. This value here is lower than here, so we have a bit of a divergence. I haven't written on the chart, so sorry about that. But on the other hand, we are actually in a bullish trend, but the 100 moving average is not really that much agreeing with it. So I think it will be fairly limited, but there is room up to 299.5, maybe even to 200. If sterling yen slides back to close below 196, well, then the uptrend could be over. Aussie dollar spiked lower below the 200 moving average yesterday, bouncing a little bit. And we talked about it yesterday that there was risk down where we were trading up here in the high 60s, 66.5, that we could dip below 40 and also down to 66.20. We actually dipped a little bit lower. I think we will bounce here the next couple of days, trying to move back up to the 61.8 level, but it really needs to take down a 67.25 to establish a bullish trend. There's still downside risk. If it takes out the lows from yesterday at 66.14, well, then there is risk down to 65.67 level. Dollar Canada is it spiked higher again yesterday, but failed to close above its previous peak there at 138.38. Really struggling at the moment, so maybe we could see it setting back a little bit. I would be quite cautious about this. What I would say is that if it takes out 138.65, this peak here, well, then we'll see it push up to this area here around 139.5. But we could see a little bit of a setback here. If it takes out 137.45, well, then expect a larger correction down to around 137. Sterling Canada, it's flirting with this lower rising trend line in what could be a triangle-like pattern. It's not the most perfect one. If it takes out 178.30 then and closes below, then there could be a potential down to 176.80, which is key support. EURUSD is testing the support at 93.33. If it takes it out, I think we'll see it, no close is needed. I think we'll see it testing 93, which is the key support and key strong support. Close below that, when then we're looking at 92.50 and possibly lower. Dollar Swiss spiked a little bit higher yesterday, still around day 786 retracement at 86.68.69. It seems like it's really struggling to get back above the cloud and back above 100 moving average, which it needs to do to get up to the resistance here at, let's just add here, there we are, at 87.5. There is potential to it, but if it starts sliding back, then I think we'll see it sliding back below 86. So be a little bit cautious if you're long here. I would do that. I will be very cautious. We could suddenly see also if euro dollar is suddenly bouncing, that could also have some effect here on the dollar Swiss to some extent at least. So I think we could see it setting back to around 86. So be cautious about that. And finally, the dollar index. Dollar index reached the 104.25 and then some. As we talked about yesterday, there was potential to it. And if you look at it, there's no divergence on the RSI indicating, well, we could push up to 104.56 level, which is this peak here, maybe even 104.85. But we are extremely stressed at the moment, so we could also see a correction hitting. So be really cautious about what's going on here at the moment. I would be very cautious about being long too much at least, because we could see a correction hitting. But still, positive RSI, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels on dollar the dollar index. Gold got hit by selling pressure yesterday. There is divergence on the RSI, so it wasn't that surprising. What I would say about this, well, we reached almost 200%. We were up above the 176.4 projection of this correction here, spiking to 27.58. What I will do, and I'll I'll just show it to you. I don't add everything. I just want to show you how you can also do this yourself. So it seems like we are in a correction phase here that could take it down to test the lower rising trend line here. If it takes out, and I will use yesterday's candle as a guide or as a trading range. If it takes out to the downside 27.08, then I think we will see a push down to 26.80, possibly down to 26.62, which is the 61.8 retracement. If it takes it out to the upside at and breaks 27.58.5, then I think we'll see a push to my target, which is 28.78, a medium-term target I still have. Then that is likely to unfold. So keep an eye on what's going on here with this, and I will again keep an eye on what's going on with the breakout direction of this candle there. We could be in for a correction in gold. Silver also had a massive move yesterday, sell off after reaching almost 35. There's still potential higher. There's no divergence on the RSI, which is showing bullish sentiment or positive sentiment. So there is potential higher for silver after this little correction phase here. I will remove this because we already have a potential up to 35.5, and then say, okay, let's see, could we see a little bit of a correction, possibly down to the 38.2 at 33 and a change. If it takes out the high hairs from the past, or the peak here from the past couple of days, then we'll see a push up to the level around 35.50. At least the RSI is telling us that that could very well play out that scenario. Copper holding on above this 61.8 retracement here at 432.68. Dipped a little bit below, but it's still holding on, and I think we will see a bounce here in the next couple of days. If it takes out that little spike up there at 445.70, well, then key will be, will it take out the levels around 450 for a potential push to 470. If it takes out 429 to the downside, well, then we could see down to 420. But as we can see at the 55 moving average coming up, the 200 also adding to the support, despite the 100 dragging on a little bit. And maybe that's why it really can't break higher, at least for now. Well, the oil situation. Well, WTI seems to be hovering around this 71.5 kind of pivot point here. Trying to close above, can't really do that. If it does, then I think, and especially closing above 72.50, well, then I think we'll see WTI pushing higher towards 75 and the previous peaks here. RSI, still positive sentiment, indicating that we are likely to see a push higher here in the coming days. If it takes out the lows here from a few days ago at 68.72, then the downtrend is resuming. More or less the same picture of Brent, of course. Here it's just around 75.87, kind of a pivot, bearish and bullish. If it can close above, then I think we'll see a push up towards 81.5. If it takes out the lows here from a couple of days ago, 72.5, then expect a push down to 70 level. I'm just throwing Dutch gas into the mix here. We haven't looked at it for a while. It is short term in a bullish trend towards previous peaks here from August. Maybe it's because we are moving towards the winter season here in Europe. Here is the weekly chart. If it takes out that spike up there at 42.90, which is not unlikely, however, then we could see in the coming weeks and months the Dutch gas contract pushing towards 50 level. However, we have the 100 moving average coming down here that is dragging a little bit on it. But as we can see, the RSI on the weekly is in a bullish sentiment or positive sentiment, and indicating likely higher levels, and also we are above the cloud. So I think we'll see Dutch gas pushing higher in the coming weeks. Yields, US 10-year pushing towards the 428, 430 level, stalling a little bit. No divergence on the RSI, however, indicating we are likely to see a test of that, but we could see a little bit of a setback down below 420, but we have some strong support here at 414. I don't think we'll move back below that. I think we'll see a US 10-year reaching 430 level fairly shortly. The 2-year very close to the 406 resistance. If it does break above that, well, then there's certainly potential higher towards 4.25. I think at first take it will be rejected and setting back a little bit. And finally, on the EuroBund future, this is not the yield, this is the EuroBund future, still holding on above 132.73. If it takes out the lows here from a couple of days ago, for the past few days at 132.59, well, then expect a sell-off down to below 132. That's all for today. Have a nice day. Talk to you again.